Hello buddies, welcome to CG Byte. So in our last session we created a flower growing animation. So in this session we are going to texture it, then lighting and then rendering. So let's get started. So this is the flower which we created in last session. So I disabled these extras so the viewport will look so clean, and the cube we created to control the position of our leaves. Make sure must select this, and in the object properties make sure to disable these all options so that it will not visible in render. So now we are ready to texture. So first of all unwrap the leaves. Okay, and I'm going to use my previous textures which I used in the video I shown you in first tutorial. So here is my camera setup, and we can change camera easily after all rendering and all textured and lighting done. So I'm going to my rendered view. So this is the flower. So you can see I think there is a two branches which are intersecting each other. That's why, yeah. So we can delete one. So now this will look clean. Okay, this is my temporary light, this is not final. So this is just for to look the texture, so we can adjust the texture and then we will do lighting. So select a leaf, we are going to do texture for flower first. Create a new texture, and this is our principal node. So we join all our texture nodes to this principal nodes. So I have this texture here like this one is my texture. Okay, let me move to image editor. I don't know why this is not visible. Oh, here it is. So this is my texture which I am going to use for my flower. Just zoom on the flower which we are texturing, and now connect this to this. As I unwrapped my flower according to this image, so it will automatically look perfect. UV will match to the image automatically. So now how we can copy this one flower leaf textures to all others. So select every object which you want to copy the texture, and in the last select the textured one, and then go to material tab, and here we have drop down menu where you can select copy material to select it. So this is how it will look, but this is not our final texture. We will continue to improve the look of flower. So first of all we have to decrease the specular amount, and then duplicate this, and go to color ramp, create a color ramp node and put this into this. Now you can see this is how it's looking, and now you can join this to the roughness, so we will get a roughness variation in our flower. And also you can use this same node to create some height or bump data. So make sure to put the value 0.2 in bump node and then plug this into normal, and from this you can use this height. So now we have this data like this. We can also convert this to ease, and now we have this value here. And you can see in the real world the flower have some transparency and a translucency, so we can also create that. I think the roughness is too much and the bump is too much, so we can just crank this down. So I think 0.1 is enough. And also for to decrease the roughness we can use math node and add this to multiply, then try to decrease or increase this. So this looks good, or we can also invert this. and for sheen value we can increase sheen, and specular is all good. Now we are going to create a tool to translucency effect. So search for mix shader, create a mix shader here, and then search for translucency and plug this into this. So you can see this is how it will look, but we need to low this low the amount, so you can adjust these values here. So this translucency effect we can finalize after the lighting done. So before that we have to create some ambient inclusion data. So create an ambient inclusion node and then select color ramp and then mix RGB node, put this into this value and plug this into this, and from mix you can choose multiply, then plug this like this. Now you can enable this by control shift and click on this and adjust the value according to you. So now this is after AO and this is before AO. So we have amazing shadow data from this. Now you can also enable our translucency data from there. We can also control the translucency data from our AO node. So I have duplicated this color ramp node and plug this into this, and also like this. So we can just choose the areas of white color to make loose translucence effect, plug this into this, and you can see this is how it will look. So but we don't want this, we have to make this more dark like this, so we can control the value of translucency. I think this is enough. You can also make if we plug the principal node directly to the view material output, you can also use the subsurface to create that effect, but I think translucency is much better than subsurface for these kind of flowers, these kind of objects. This is totally depends on you how you are going to create final result for your product. So I am disabling subsurface for now, and now we are jumping to the other part of like this inner part of the flower. So create a shader for this and then just select all other and copy the same materials to others. Now we can use simple color to texture this just by putting something like yellowish color. I have my code from the previous texture, so you can put it here. Then same again, we will use a mix shader and the translucence effect, and just put it here. So we will be back. You can also use the same color AO nodes from this setup which we did earlier. Just copy these and paste these into this, and control and drag this color to this and just plug this like this. So now we have some AO data like this, and this is the final result for this. Now we are moving to the leaves here. Select the leaf, and I have the leaf texture for this. Create a new material first, then drag the texture file here and put it into the, so you can see this is the leaf file, or I am showing you this is the file I am using for the leaf texture, just this leaf part. If I go to UV map, this is how I unwrapped this. So same for this, we can create same nodes as we created to the flower to create height, bump height, and translucency. So this is the setup for the leaf. I created same AO map and use the texture, and then color from the color ramp I use the data to create bump, and to control the roughness I used this add and add math node, and then from this color ramp node I used this to drive the translucency. So this is the translucence data, this is roughness data, and this is bump data. So same nodes which we used for flower, you can use that same nodes here. And now just select this and then select this, copy material to selected objects, and you can see this is how it look. And if you can what you want to decrease this white value, like this is less green here, just use this slider to control your data here. Now we are going to texture, or you can also use the same texture which we used here for this bottom part of the flower. Just copy this, you don't need to unwrap this because we are just using material, not textures. So now we are going to texture this, select a branch and then create a new data material here, and I am going to use the textures I downloaded from Quixel Bridge. So let me find my textures. Here these are, and just drag and drop here, and you can see this is how it looks stretched, but we can control that by pressing control, select this node and press Ctrl T to create these coordinates. And now you can use generated and normal or UV data. So I'm going to create UV, choose UV data, and now just check this by scaling, tweak these values to find the proper results. So I crank up the X value to 6, so this is not more stretching. Now I am going to create other maps to create some normal. So this is our normal data here, just put this like this, and color space non-color data, and also connect this to this. Now we have our bump data here. We also have a roughness map, make this color space also non-color, and like this. And we also have displacement, which we can use as a bump data, make this value to 0.2, and also connect this to this and create this to non-color. You can use color ramp to enhance this, and also use this like this one. Okay, so our this data is this texture is all done. Now select other branches and also copy these to other two. So if you want to create light color for this, just add curve, RGB curves to this, and tweak these values to make this look as you want. So for green here, you can also like this, tweak this value until you find your result as you want. So I think this is okay. So our texture is mostly done. Now we are ready to create texture for ground. So select ground and scale this as you need. So let's find out the proper angle. So we have this, and I can move this to this direction, so the plane will cover all background. So now select this and select the plane and press Ctrl A and apply all, or you can just apply rotation and scale, and then unwrap this from the applied value. Now I am going to use again Quixel Mixer, Quixel Bridge to create find some textures. I think this is good. Just drag this and press Ctrl T. You can also use value node to control these from that node. Let's also assign the normal map here, so we can find, I think this is stretching on. Okay, I think first we can also assign other, like the roughness. Put this in this, select the non-color data for specular 0.2, or you can use the 0.5. Also we have displacement or transmission. Try the displacement map. So for displacement we have to just go to material tabs, and in settings we can change this value to displacement and bump to. Now create displacement, vector displacement. No, just a displacement, and then put this to height and put this to this, and also go to modifier and first I think go to edit mode and subdivide this. I think 100 is enough. Now just add subsurface subdivision modifier. So you can see we have this bump effect here. So for create we can also uh, connect this node to this one for correct height position. So you can see this is too much, so we have to decrease the scale value to point something 3 or 0.5 is, yeah, this is good, but our flower is mixing in the background, so we have to unsaturate this. So for, you can create hue saturation node here, and for saturation try 0.2, or for the value, yeah, I think 3 is okay. You can also use the curve node here, RGB curve, and try to also make sure that your color space, color management is on standard, not on filmic. In filmic it will look some grayish tone, but in standard it look good. And also you can choose this to medium contrast here. Now we can do one other thing, like we can create roughness variation. So create a noise texture here, noise texture, and plug this to this, and then color ramp and scale this to, yeah, this is okay, and then crank this value. Like this, and invert this. Now we can create math node and plug this to this, and look how it will look. Just check. Or you can, sorry, we can use mix RGB node instead of math node. So in mix we can, yeah, this is okay. So make this value 0.8 and connect this to roughness, and let's try what it will looking now. I think this is good. So now we can do the lighting part. So first of all, disable the HDRI. Then I am going to create another collection and create a spotlight or point light. Now increase the value to 100 or 1000, and also scale this to 2, so we can get the soft LED shadow. Enable the extras to view the light, and move this to like this direction, and then duplicate this, or we can use the spotlight here and just make the light from behind and crank the light intensity. So you can see we can also you can create point light here and make this value to 500, or create color like this reddish, and for this you can make this I think white is good. Just increase this to 2. So this is the simple lighting to the scene. You can also try another methods if you know. Now this looks good than before. So let's try to render this. So this is the final render, but we can use some other effects to make this more cooler. You can also grow the grass here by particle system or geometry node, and also put some stones or pedals here, but I am not going to show this that in this tutorial. So I can just create one more effect like volumetric light. So let's try if that will look cool. So for that I am creating a new collection. Here I have empty collection. So press Shift A and create a cube, scale this, and make sure to cover this whole area like this, and go to the object properties, and in the viewport display you can choose the wireframe mode. Select this cube and create a new material. You can just change that to principal volume. Now if we go to render view, we can see, so just make this connect to volume, not surface. So this is how it will look, but we need to do some good effects for this. So select this and decrease the value to 0.03, and decrease this value to 500. So we will now create a spotlight on the flower like this, or you can rotate to a certain angle so it look more interesting, and increase this to something 2000. Also make this size smaller like this. And now if we increase the volume value to 1 and also increase this value, make this little bit yellowish in color. And now I'm going to duplicate this and make this blend fully and just change the color to make some color variations in the scene. So let's try to render this. So this is we used volume in this, so now this will take too much time for rendering, so I will be back after rendering. So this is how it's looking now, much better than before. So we can also distribute stones on the side of this and also put some grass on the ground, so it will make more interesting. So here I added some other elements like this butterfly. If I am going to render view, you can see this is the butterfly, and also I throw some leaves from the flower on the ground. And if I unhide all, I added some grass and rocks on the floor, so you can see this is the look dev viewport. So if I go to render view, You can see this is the final render. So I rendered this and imported this to Photoshop. This also looks good, but I imported this to Photoshop after render. So this is the final render, and after some color correction, this is how it looked now. Yeah, I used a camera raw filter to create this color correction and some other things. So you can see this is before and this is after. You can also add other things like some particles glowing around the butterfly or around flower. That will also make it more interesting, but in this I added butterfly, and particles will fill this up, and that will not look good. So we have to balance the scene, like on the left and the right we have to both sides balanced. So this is the final look of the flower. You can also animate the butterfly, and I downloaded this butterfly from Sketchfab. This is already animated. You can also create a complete render of animation like we created this, and that will be awesome. So that's all. This is the tutorial about I also want to show you how I created these rocks, and I use the geometry nodes as I told you before. So this is the simple node setup. Over here I just these nodes are for rock spreading, and these are for grass. So nothing fancy, just simple stuff. I created a small vertex group here, and in this I use test that to create a selection group. Here I created a collection, and then added a point distribute on faces, then instances on points, and this is the random scale and rotation value. So and then join this, and this is the final output. So that's all. And if you like the tutorial and learn something new, please make sure to consider a subscribe. I am going to create some other animation breakdowns for my scenes. This is my Instagram. You can also DM me on my Instagram, and in further tutorials I am going to break down this scene, how I created. You can watch this now. I created this totally in Blender, and did some color correction in DaVinci Resolve, and I also want to create tutorial for this scene too. This is also created in Blender, and all assets are created with geometry nodes. All animation, smoke, everything is done in Blender, and color correction again in DaVinci Resolve. So these are all my project files and all my work. You can check out it here, and you can also tag me and ask me how to create a tutorial on certain objects and assets. So make sure to follow me on Instagram and subscribe me on YouTube. That's all. Meet you in next session. Take care and consider a subscribe. Thank you.